Here in Fife, Alabama at Shine's Barbecue, Mr. Ike Ridgway's restaurant, with a very special guest. We have Mr. Tyler Vann as head coach of the Sylvania Rams in with us. And Coach Vann, it's great to have you on here at Shine's Barbecue and to come on and do a one-on-one with us. But I know everybody's wanting to know about last season's run, all the way to the semis and all the great things you've done since you've been at Sylvania. But I like to rewind the clock to let people know who you are and how you was raised and where you were born at. So let's rewind the clock back to the day when you was a child coming up. Where did that take place at?
Higdon, Alabama. I actually grew up right there at North Semifinals High School. Grew up a couple miles from the school. Didn't take long to get to school every day, but grew up there and worked in the summers with Papa. And so it was fun, hard work.
In dog days of summer and that hard work, how did that help mold who you are today? Probably obviously helped you play football and obviously helped you get into college to play football.
All right. To helping Grandpa in the summer. If it wasn't done the right way, he'd let you know about it. If he thought you was being lazy, he'd let you know about it. He's really helped me understand that little things are important, and you've got to do them right every day if you're going to be successful, not only in sports or in your business, but in life.
That's true. Now, you played college football at Jacksonville State under Bill Clark and John Gross, correct? What was those days like? And obviously, you were probably a sponge there, soaking up every word that they said because you're a professional now. But talk about those days playing at JSU.
Yeah, I was there 2 years before transferring. I wish I'd stuck it out all four. But I learned a lot, especially under Coach Clark. I always know I wanted to be a coach and eventually a head football coach. But Coach Clark, I really enjoyed watching how he carried himself, what he required of a football team. When he walked in the room, everybody knew he walked into the room because of his demeanor and what he required discipline-wise of the football team in the locker room, on the field, outside the field house. So learning a lot from Clark and how he wanted us to do little things right. Even though I was a lot of times on the scout team and stuff like that, I was still able to learn a lot just watching coaches coach and being around that environment.
When you got out of college, you knew you had already made up your mind you was going to be a high school football coach or a football coach. You didn't know where it was going to take you probably at that time. What was some of the first steps that got your career started? Where did you land at that point?
So when I ended up transferring to UTC when my dad was working, so I was able to help Coach Kirby, or Coach Monroe at the time at North Semifinals. Coach Kirby was the OC, so I worked under them two guys there at North Semifinals. A year later, I ended up at A-Rap High School under Coach Gilbert, who I played for in high school. A few years later, I was able to move with Don Jacobs in Scottsville. That's probably where I learned the most, took in the most, was under Coach Jacobs. He required a lot out of his staff, which made me better. I got chewed out a few times, but it made me a lot better. Understanding what he wanted of us every day. It made me, the coach I am today a lot due to being around Coach Jay, Coach Gilbert, Coach Monroe, Coach Kirby, and even at Buckhorn under Coach Henderson. So, everywhere I've been, I've tried to take things away from guys I've been around, learning, and that's definitely what's got me where I'm at now.
You were more of an offensive guy, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, when did you get your first break as an OC?
I helped Coach Vann a lot when I was at Buckhorn. It was kind of probably more of I never was a true OC until I became the head coach. But I did help a lot with the pass game at Buckhorn. But learning more than anything, when I was at Scottsboro, I was OC. But I got to sit in and listen to Coach Jacobs. I got to listen to how he called plays, him and Coach Gilbert communicate. And I learned, like I said, more there in that environment than anywhere I've been besides just watching coaching environments and stuff.
How did the job about Sylvania come about? And when that job came open and you called the interview, walk us through that process.
All right, so I was at Woodville. We ended up going 5 and 6, I believe. We had a pretty good year for there. I mean, we should have done a little better. We failed to win a game early in the year. I thought we should have. but we ended up doing really well. Played against Coach Kirby, who was a principal at Valley. He wasn't a coach, but he was a principal there. We went over there and we struggled. We had one of our best players go down second drive. We tied it. He went down and go back in. He left for the hospital. We ended up beat pretty good, but our guys fought the whole time. And Coach Kirby, when we taught, that was one of the things that stood out to him. Our guys didn't quit. And I saw that Sylvania came open. I was very interested. I wanted to be there because I heard their junior high program was good. When I thought, when you think about Sylvania growing up, they're a football school that cares about football. They want to be successful in football. I don't want to be somewhere that don't want to be successful. if I'm not doing my job and I'm not living up to expectations, that's I want to hear about it. I just a lot of pressure and felt like it was a pressure job. And somewhere that wanted to win, I want to win. Let's do what it takes.
For those people who do not know or is not from this part of the state, can you describe what football is like in this part of the state? And this surrounding area right up here on this mountain, there's some incredible football teams. I mean, you guys played in the third round against a rival, and probably one of the most watched football games in this county's history. And you guys played 5 toe-to-toe all the time. I mean, you guys, it's just different up here. Can you explain that to somebody who may live in South Alabama that's watching this?
Right, yeah, so Camp County football, we may not, even Jaskin, we may not have guys that's out here running 4.5s, 4.4s at work. I mean, there's a few guys out here that's fast. But there's a bunch of guys out here that will hit you. It's a physical football game on the mountain. North Alabama, period, we play physical football because that's how we expect to win football games. That's what we rely on. And if you're going to play with 5 and you're going to play with teams like that around here, if you're not physical, there's no possible way. We rely on being really good up front. Actually, I think people start throwing the ball more in North Alabama than I've seen since probably ever. It's becoming more prevalent. That don't take away from physicality. You look at last year, Joe Ramsey did it for Marsh Hilton, and Joe beats them. A large part there, in my opinion, probably because of physicality and Geraldine and that nature. But I think I've been, we've played some teams middle of the state and stuff, but they're physical. I think it's just being physical week in, week out on the mountain is a big difference.
Staying healthy is a big part of that as well.
Right. Yeah.
So you got to be doing some stuff off the field that takes care of that. I want to go back to the point you just said about Mars Hill. Coach Higgins and I is pretty good friends, and I talked to him. This has been about 2 months ago. I was up there interviewing Bell Hill, and I went in his office and I talked to him for about an hour. And he told me, he said, I didn't know how I could. My guys wouldn't take in that game. It's not that they didn't take it serious, but they just wouldn't listen to me about what was fixing to face.
Right.
He said, they see the name Fife and we play Fife, they know we're fixing to physicalness. I had to tell them guys, these guys beat Fife last year, and they still didn't get it. So now, he said, we're going into that game, and I've been preaching, screaming to the high heavens how physical this game's going to be. And he said, the next thing you know, we're losing in the 4th. And it's over.
Right.
And then
Marsh Hill's a real physical football team too.
Yes, coach got the guys you mentioned. But my point to that is, it goes back to what you were saying about this mountain. Physicality sometimes beats out athletes, and that's a case in point. Yeah. The perception of what you mentioned is spot on about this place. So, but when your team in particular turn around and beat that team next week, and I'm going to talk about that game. What was that atmosphere like, and how did you keep your guys level-headed heading into that game? I mean, actually, the pressure to me was on y'all. Y'all were at home. Y'all were coming off a huge win as well. How did you keep your guys level-headed going into that week?
Yeah, it was tough. It was probably one of the toughest weeks I've had as far as head football coach. I was trying to get the guys ready, but at the same time prepared to beat a team again for the second time. That was tough because there was a different football team. We played them early in the year. Their tight end was healthy, so they were in a different look on offense. That guy went down. Coach Davis did a really good job of changing the offense and putting it more. Carlos Mann was more involved even then than he probably was earlier in the year because he had to spread it out more. So preparing for their offense was tough because it wasn't what we had seen before from him. He was doing a good job of motions, and he called us early in the game. Motion was something we were worried about. Carlos Mann, stunt that he got hurt early in the game, he's trouble. That kid.
He's strong too.
But yeah, the pressure was on us. I felt like being at home, the atmosphere was correct. It was what you expected. The third round, the Calvin County football game. It was places packed. But our guys, I brag on them all the time. We get if something bad happens in a football game, our guys they've gotten so much better about just playing the next play because it really don't. We talk about putting it in play by play all the time because it really doesn't matter whether you scored a touchdown the last play or you threw an interception. Don't look back at it till after the game because you've got to make the mix because nobody cares anymore about what just happened. So, same round 3. Nobody cares you won round 2. Everybody cares about you winning round 3. So what do you have to do this week to beat Geraldine? And they know what Geraldine's about. We played them, earlier in the year. They know they're a good football team. I didn't have to prepare them for that. So our guys did a really good job being level-headed, showing up every day, and knowing that if we don't prepare the right way, Geraldine's going to beat us because we know what type of football team they are. So I think that helped a lot.
And they had gotten some guys back that was healthy coming into that. They had midway through the season they lost. Another question I got for you. When you look around this county, and you just mentioned Coach Davis and yourself, there is some youthful coaches in this county now. I mean, you have your old dog, so to speak, now. Coach Pruitt's back, and you have Coach Benefield here, but you got young Pruitt. Pisgah is doing really well. And you, Michael Davis. Talk about that to see those dynamics, the changing of the guard, so to speak. I'm not saying those two guys are retiring today, but they're on the outside of their careers a little bit. They're not in the mid of their career. You guys are coming up hungry. I mean, what's that like?
This was different because I played against. I didn't get the chance to play against Coach Pruitt. He was out of state when I was coming up, especially in junior and senior. But playing against Coach Benefield and then being able to coach against him has been special. I've been able to create something where we talk. I try to call him regularly just because I want to learn. So when I was at Blue, I come up here and he let me spend a day in the weight room with him. Like I want to learn. I want to be as good as I can be. I say all the time I want to be the best. Well, that's the pressure I put on myself because I want to be that guy. So but I want our kids to be good, and it's not about me. But I want to prepare our kids the best I can prepare them. The only way to do that is be around greatness, and I think Coach Benefield is one of the greatest coaches going through. If not the, because he does it the right way, and his kids play hard for him. I don't care what anybody says about how hard he is on him, they play hard for him. They love him. You can see it by watching film. But it's different, and I want to see him coach, and I want to coach against him for many more years. So I'm excited about playing him this year. I'm 0-2 against him.
But y'all gave him some nail-biting moments, though.
He's got our numbers. Staying on Coach Smith at Piedmont, 0-3. I keep up with all those numbers. Lost to Coach Pruitt this year. I got 8-7 just because I want to win. I want to be successful. Our team will be successful. And you're going against good coaching staffs. That's what I love about our region. We're going against good coaches week in, week out. It makes our coaching staff better, and it helps prepare the kids. So.
Let me throw this at you. You mentioned the Coach Smith loss this year. David Goggins said it best. He said, "I never lose. I tried that time, and I'm going to come back and try again. And I'm going to come back and try again until I conquer whatever's in front of me." What was your takeaways? What did you learn from that game at Piedmont?
The first game and the second game both was we struggled in the back end last year at some point, and Jack Hayes is a dude, and so they really have an answer for a lot of defenses. Going into halftime state, I thought they had it. So, but there was a really good football team, and I think we grew as a football team. I have a lot of seniors back, and I feel like we've learned a lot going into the off season about what it's going to take to compete and beat a team like that. The culture's there at Piedmont. You can feel it. You can say they're a lot like Fife. They don't expect anything but to win, and that's the mentality that we're trying to create. And we're not. I didn't think we were there strength-wise yet last year. Still think we were getting. We were good up front against a lot of people last year, but I don't think we was to the point where we're ready to compete for a state championship strength-wise up front, strength and conditioning-wise. I think we've taken another step. We've changed stuff. We're trying to get better every year. We reflected on what we did last year. But I think learning from, semifinals, I feel like our culture's headed in the right direction. We just got to continue to keep it pointed that way.
This is a question I like to ask coaches, and it's a very difficult one to answer sometimes. How do you self-reflect? How do you self-grade yourself at the end of the year, looking at yourself and saying, I did this great, maybe I didn't do this so good. How do you do that?
Well, we run numbers on offense, and I try to do it every couple games, 4 games, but it's tough to do that when you're focusing on preparing for somebody else. But I try to look at my percentages and what I've done, how I've called football games as far as the offensive side. Have we been successful on first down? Have we been successful on third down? If not, then I haven't prepared us the right way, or I may not film-wise. I need to scout better. And then at the end of it, when you're watching games, I feel like even calling games between drives, I'm hard on myself and my stuff. Like I'm trying to be in the perfect play every time, which is impossible. But reflecting on as far as like we made it to the semis because we went 10-4. Talking about being sick, losing week 7 was sick last year. We lost playing you after having a lead. And like I told the team, that's on me. So reflecting, like, what did I do different? It's like I told them afterwards. There was multiple times that week that, as a head football coach, I let a little thing here or there go. So I told them after the game, we ain't letting no. That's on me. It's on this coaching staff. We let it go. You wanted to talk when it was warming up. I let it go. You wanted to start past the pile. A lot of you reps in the weight room session. I let it go, and it ate. After the game, the first thing I thought about was I let something go that week that I normally would probably say something about every single time. And we were rolling.
I remember.
So I let it go. And that's on me. That's me, man. It's tough to coach little things every day. It's tough to be on them every day. But if you want to be successful, that's what, in my opinion, that's what it takes is to require that of them every day, and that's where Coach Vann feels. Coach Smith, I guarantee you they require it every day, and that's what we're trying to do.
Gene Stallman said it best, and I'm not saying this about Plainview's football team, but he said anytime you don't think one of these major games where you're a heavy favorite to win, he said if you don't think they're important, go lose one. Right. And he said you'll find it. And I'm not saying that towards Plainview, I'm just saying in any situation where on paper you're supposed to win. Now here's another task. How do you keep these guys level-headed so they don't think they've arrived? Heading into this, obviously, off season, now we're about to be ramping up fall camp. How do you bring these guys back down there and say, hey, last year was last year. Semifinals was great, but that's not our goal. We got to refocus, and we got a lot of work to do.
We try to challenge them week in, week out. We try to find something to challenge them about. But I think the biggest thing is our guys was not happy with us in my house. I was very, very happy with that in the locker room after the game. In the off season, not one of our guys was like, hey, we made it to the semis. It was more of what do we have to do to make it to the finals. We hadn't earned anybody's respect, even though people's got to say we've got a target on our back, and people think, hey, we've got to beat them. In our eyes, we haven't earned anything, and that's what I tell them all the time. Don't listen to anything outside. Like, we hadn't earned anybody's respect yet. We want to make the game, and we want to win the game. And the only way to do that is to focus week by week, and we try to challenge them because there's always something the team does that we try to challenge. We set a goal or a couple goals every week that we want to do that Friday night, and I try to make some of them out of reach. But anyways, they like challenges. They want to compete. That's like 7-on-7s this week. We're going to do exactly what we're going to do on Friday night, 7-on-7s. We're not going over there to run a 7-on-7 offense or 7-on-7 defense.
There you go.
We're going to get better at us, all right? And we lost, I think, 3 games. We did well today. We finished really good today, went 5-1. But our guys compete, good, bad, ugly. Our guys compete, and that's what I love about them. And I'm fully believe that's what we're going to do this year. Win, lose, or draw, we're going to compete the next play, the next night, the next week. So.
What's the biggest difference in that program from day one when you walked in until now? If you had to put your finger on it, like as you say, all right, we're definitely improving in this category the most.
Talked about a lot probably today, but probably the little things part. We talked about how we leave our locker all the time. For the first 2 years, I could normally find a few lockers here and there, and I'd roll them for it and stuff, like the whole team, make the whole team better. Leaving the weight room the right way. Not talking in lines. All the little things out there. We're still, like today, had alignment problems. That makes me mad. But I always try to tie it back to if you can't do little things right in the locker room, leaving a 3-foot space of your locker the right way, the way we want to leave it, I can't trust you to line up in a shade or wherever I want to put your hands in the right place if you can't even do that little bitty thing correctly. Our guys are doing it. I always try to find something to get them daily. I'm going to try to find one thing wrong, but it's starting to get tougher and tougher to find something a little wrong. And that's how you know that the seniors and juniors have done a good. They've been in it for this is the third year. They know what's expected. Pulling them younger guys along, the junior high guys are learning. And I feel like it's heading in the right direction.
Self-accountability at this point.
Yes, and that's seniors.
If I had, there's probably several things that you got in your mind, but if I had you dial down on a single thing that you've got to get done between now and opening day, what would that be?
One thing.
There's probably several little things that you think. There's something that you got to get taken care of between now and then.
I would say Auburn, me as an offensive guy, is a pass pro.
Gotcha.
Down to a T to where we're communicating it from quarterback to line to running back understanding. Gotcha. Which I try to simplify that, but I'd say defensive alignment formations, that's something that'll cause you to not sleep good at night. Yeah, I'm an offensive guy, but and I try to throw formations that give people problems. And on the other side of it, when we're playing somebody, just throwing for that's another thing. Skelly helps with. You're going to see a lot of formations, a lot of different plays, and you're going to be able to get your DBs and linebackers to talk, communicate, and then being in the right condition shape. Something we're going to work on, and we've been working on it. But I don't think you're ever fully ready for the first game. As close as we can.
I'm an old school guy. I was a spring guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like spring because I'd rather find out then this guy's just not going to get it done or he's scared to death than that opening night. And we can suffer a loss because of it. That's how I am. But nowadays, a lot of guys like the fall with extra week. So, you never know. What's your opinion on that?
I've actually taken we didn't do it the first year because I got there late. Going into the next year, I already had a really good idea of who we had, so I felt good about not doing it. And our guys our baseball team going a long time here and there. And our guys just been working. We had a lot of free sport guys. So I've chosen to just do the extra day in fall. And I've actually had it scheduled out. I really like the way we did it last year. Did that fall jamboree, then we have a week off, week 0, and then we play week 1.
Gotcha.
So we see a lot in that fall jamboree, and we get a lot of guys reps. And we're able to fix what we need to fix week 0, and we're able to roll in to week 1 through 10. Because if there was one thing I've heard complaints about from players, is they hate that middle of the year break. Even though it gives you a good break, a lot of guys like playing through. It wasn't a choice for us when I played. We played 1 through 10. And them guys like it. And I like having that week 0 after Jamboree because you don't make your most improvement in the first couple of games. So, it gives us a week to really tone in on what we need to get better at as a football team. And it's normally more than one or two things too. So.
Now, we're going to dive, your media days is coming up, Jeff Allen. I'm going to be at that. I want to dive more into the team today, but I just wanted to know, we wanted to dive more into your career today. So I've got another question or two to ask you before we let you go, but we're looking forward to the media days, by the way. Now, before we close it out, a couple of things. For any of the kids up there in Sylvania that may be new to the team this year, that may have been a junior high guy moving up, I know they already know you, but or some of the kids walking the halls that may want to play football in the next coming years, what's some of the guarantees you can give that child and their parents if they do play football for you that you're going to give them as a coaching staff?
I think we're going to teach them discipline. That's part of biggest part of what we do. We try to instill in the players. It goes back to how we lead the locker and how we do everything. Is you have to be accountable. So I can tell them all the time in leaders, if you cannot do what you want, you have to hold yourself accountable before you can hold your brother accountable. You can't do it backwards. So accountability and being able to hold each other accountable, and by doing that, our guys do things the right way, and they're going to be a part of the culture that's going to force them to do things the right way, or they're not going to make it. We've lost a few already this year. You either got to be all in or half in, half out. It won't cut it because we work too hard and we do things the right way. So.
I love it. And finally, Coach, before I shut it down, what would you like to say to maybe any of the Sylvania fans, the family out there, people that supported you throughout your career and obviously still supporting you in Sylvania?
Yeah, we appreciate it. I know our players appreciate what they do, and we need a packed stadium this year. Our 5 home games. This year's going to be Piedmont, Geraldine, Pisgah, Plainview, and 5. So we need some. We need the stands packed every home game. There's not a home game you walk into and go, man, this is the easy one. It's not. So we need a home field packed. We got a big scoreboard coming, LED lights, and so we have a lot of stuff coming on Friday nights, and we're really excited about it. And we need them for that culture to be what we want it to be. And I know our kids love when they look up there and see the stands packed. And I know some in the community cares a lot about football. They care a lot about winning, and they care a lot about our football team. So we do appreciate them and what they did for us last year and what they're going to do.
Coach, appreciate you sitting in with us, and as always, I want to thank Ike Ridgway here at Shine's Barbecue for the sponsorship to bring you guys on like he does each and every week. And if you're anywhere in and around Fife, Alabama, especially you Sylvania fans, and make a short trip up to Fife to hear, you will not regret it. I'm sure Coach will vouch for that.
Good food, and we appreciate Average Joe's and what
Appreciate
y'all
you.
do for student athletes around the state, and especially North Alabama. So
We're moving. We're adding some folks this year, so we can get out to some more places.
I got you.
Coach, looking forward to seeing you at Media Days, and I'm going to shut this one down. Thank you so much.